Evening, everyone. Newcastle have won a game of football for the first time in 2022, the first away game of the 21-22 season, and only our second win of the season in all competitions. And it's nearly the end of January. But we'll take it, and it's very exciting, and I feel really happy about it. And we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the game, and we'll talk about what else is to come and all that kind of stuff. But thank you very much for joining me. Already loads of people in the chat, which is great. Joe's here. Good evening. Definitely not used to this winning feeling. It's become really, really rare for Newcastle fans over the last few years, to be fair. But this season in particular has been extremely hard work. So, just enjoying it, but it is unusual. And, it's sort of almost don't know what to do with ourselves. Evening, Gordon, Dad. He's not on with me tonight because he's down in Essex visiting my brother. So he's not on, but he's watching. So thank you for joining me. Morgul's here. Evening. We'll talk about that as well. Let's hope for a few more signings and a win streak. So that could well be the theme of this particular live stream. Evening to Tony. Yeah, hit the like button. That helps because it allows more people to. YouTube basically sends it out to more people when that happens. So, evening, Mark. Good evening to you. Evening, Tony. Evening, and Jim and Kip. I'm all right. I'm very good. Oh, Neil as well. Good evening. Lots of people here, and Joel and Neil as well. Are you up for the Everton game? I am going to be up for the Everton game, actually, funnily enough, which is on a Tuesday night. And that's obviously we've got a little break now between yesterday and the next game. Now, I always think it's good going into like a mini break on the back of a win. Now, yesterday was so massive for so many reasons, but I think, if we hadn't won that game yesterday, going into a break, having only still won one game and being adrift in the bottom three would have just it would have just made everything feel really, really down and negative. And, I put a video out earlier today. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out after this live stream. But I think it's funny football, isn't it? Because 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was when we lost in the FA Cup, it's just I was just ready to pack the season in. And then we had the disappointment of last week against Watford, not winning when we probably should have done from a winning position. And you just think, well, what's the point? And then you get a win, and then you realise, actually, we've still got a chance here. Look at the league table. We are 18th. We are 1 point behind Norwich. I mean, Norwich have done well, to be fair to them, to get out of it. But look at Everton. Look at Leeds. Look at Brentford. I think those teams from Brentford downward are still in trouble. That's what I think. I think Brentford and Leeds are not out of it yet. I think Everton are in big trouble. They will obviously be praying that a new manager can come in and, frankly, do a better job than Benitez managed to. I mean, Benitez has got a lot of fans on Tyneside, but ultimately, it just hasn't gone right for him at Everton, and kind of leaves question marks, I think, about what happens to Rafa going forward now. Is that his last shot at a job in the Premier League? It could well be, and it's kind of ended in not a good way for him. So, but I mean, I still love the guy for what he did for us and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I think, let me see who said it up here. Morgul said it. Let's hope for a few more signings and a win streak to get us away from the bottom. Now, I couldn't agree more. If you look at our form, we're now undefeated in our last 3 league games. If you remove the Cambridge FA Cup debacle from everything, our last 3 league games have been Man United, 1-1 draw, Watford 1-1 draw, and then we beat Leeds 1-0. Now, in isolation, that's a good set of results. Obviously, the disappointment there is the Watford game and the Man United game because of the context of it. When we really felt we should have won that game. I still feel like the Man United game is 2 points dropped because of the context of the game. Obviously, a point against a team in the top 4 or 5 is good. You would take that before the game, but because of the way that game panned out, I'm still disappointed now that we didn't beat Man United. I'm really disappointed that we didn't beat Watford. So, there are points that we've left on the pitch this season, and that's what's really frustrating, I think, because we could have a lot more points. We could be in a better position than we are. We can't dwell on that because the results are the results we've got, and we can't change it now. But it is very frustrating that if we'd just been a bit more savvy, a bit more defensively, the opposite of inept, I can't think of the word of it. Savvy, yeah, like switched on defensively and confident, then we could be in a very different position right now to the one we're in. But we are where we are. And I said, going into the Watford game, we had 7 matches between from Man United to the Chelsea game, we had 7 matches. And I thought we needed to win 4 of them. I thought 4 wins from those 7 matches would be a really good return. So we're looking for like 12 points-ish, aren't we? Now, we've got 4 from the first 2. So if we can repeat that in the next 2 and the next 2, then we will get that. So if we can get 4 points from, say, Everton and Villa, not going to be easy, clearly, but Everton and Villa. Everton. I think we can have some confidence going into the Everton game. I am a bit wary of them because of the managerial situation and the potential for a bounce. But as we've seen with us, sometimes a bounce doesn't happen. And that's not necessarily the new manager's fault. It's just sometimes it doesn't happen because of the run of fixtures and that kind of thing. There's lots of reasons why that might not happen, and we just need to pray that Everton aren't ready to start bouncing back up, because we really need to beat them for 2 reasons. 1, because we need the points ourselves, but 2, if we beat them, we will drag them right back into the relegation fight. So anyway, Villa as well. Look, Villa, they're an average team. That they've improved a bit, I think, under Gerrard. To be fair to him, they've got some good results. But at home to Villa, that is a game where there's a possibility of a result there. I really believe that. I think that'll be a tough match, though, the Villa game. I think that could be one of the trickier games out of the 5 that we've still got left to play. West Ham away is going to be hard, but they are starting to falter slightly. And then we've got Brentford and Brighton. And again, if we can win one of those games and draw one, if we can get basically 3 sets of 4 points, then we'll have hit those 12 points, is what I'm saying. So we could get 3 wins, 3 draws, or 4 wins. Now, that is a big, big ask for a team who, up until yesterday had only won 1 game all season. And we saw against Watford just how tricky it is to hold on to a lead. And I've got massive, massive concerns about the defense and really the midfield. That is if we only buy 1 or 2 more players, I would much sooner see us buy good midfielders than new defenders. That's a personal opinion. I think if we can get the right central midfield pairing, then I think we can cope with the defenders we have, even though they're not amazing. I think that there's still enough there if we can get the midfield sorted. I genuinely believe, deep down in my heart, that the midfield is the actual issue, and our central midfield is not on a. It's one of the worst in the league. And fair play to Shelvey yesterday. Thank God he scored the goal. Thank God he played well. He had a great shot. He could have scored twice yesterday. That's good. But long term, or even medium term, we know that Shelvey's not good enough. We know that Longstaff's not good enough. We know that Hayden isn't. We know that, Joe Willock, I don't know what is going on with him. Someone, who is it? George, I think it was. Yeah. What's the thought on Willock? I don't know. He was better in the second half, and he played a beautiful ball through to, was it Sam Maximin? I can't remember who it was that ran onto it. And that was really good. He's got something in him, but it's like we don't see it. We're not seeing it regularly enough or consistently enough. And I don't know whether that's just because he's not playing in his preferred position or what is going on with him. But it looks like we've signed the wrong player. Like, it looks like we've signed a player that not the Joe Willock that was on loan with us at the end of last season. I don't know. I'll tell you this story. So this is Gordon. If you don't know, most of you are regulars, I think, that are in here at the moment. So you know that Gordon's my dad, and he was saying, basically, my mum was asking if we were winning, and he was basically saying no, there was no score, but we had actually scored. And then you waited until the final whistle until you told her. I think you didn't want to jinx it by telling her that we were winning, which it's quite funny, really. Tony's confident. Not confident, maybe that's putting words in your mouth there, Tony, but he's sure Newcastle can beat Everton considering their form. And I think, if you do look at the team's form, our form is better than Everton's. We've won 1 and drawn 2 and lost 2 in the last 5 games, and Everton have lost 4 and drawn 1 of their last 5 games. So, like I say, the unknown in that is what happens to Everton in the next week and a half. Will they get the new manager in? Will that have an effect? We need to make sure that it has as little effect as possible. We need to make sure that we are absolutely raring to go and up for that game. And yeah, be defensively sound and not naive in defence, because we have conceded so many bad goals this season, frustrating goals. But yeah, obviously, the other thing that I haven't mentioned so far is that Newcastle United are jetting off to Saudi Arabia during this 2-week period between now and the 8th of February. And they're going to go and play in Saudi Arabia. They're going to train over there. I think they're heading out to Jeddah, and they are going to play a friendly against some Saudi Arabian team. And what do you think of that? Like, I think that's really. I can imagine Eddie Howe is probably not that's probably the last thing Eddie Howe wants right now, is to have to take his squad during a non-international break. I think it's a non-international break anyway. There's no internationals, is there? Or I might be wrong there, actually. There might be some internationals. Anyway, whatever. I just think Eddie Howe won't want to do that, but obviously it'd be like the owners will be dictating that he does that. Dictating, obviously. Yeah, great choice of word. Yeah, so what do you think? I don't think that's a good thing for the squad, and I'm kind of surprised that they're making them do it, because I think because of the perilous position that we're in, it just seems a little bit short-sighted, really, to drag them out to Saudi Arabia for a friendly against and some PR, like a PR opportunity, essentially. Neil says, massive for morale, smiley faces in training. New signings can only help with the whole dynamic. It is absolutely crucial that we now get some more players in. So we've got, a week or so left of the transfer window. We have to get some more players in. And as I say, we have to get, in my opinion, I want to see 2 midfielders in, central midfielders. We've been linked with a few. And again, as long as they improve the team, then that's great. Get them in. Even if they're loan signings, that's fine with me. Just get them in. And yeah, we have to do that. And I would like to see a central defender. I'd like to see another forward as well. But realistically, I just think we are where we are. There's a week left of the transfer window. It's obviously been hard for them to sign players, harder than they thought it was going to be. And I think we just have to accept that we might not end up with 7 or 8 players. We might end up with 3 or 4. And to be fair, I think I said before, like in December, I think I said I would have put if I was a betting person, I would have put the over under on 4.5. So are we going to sign more than 4.5 or less than 4.5? And it looks like we might end up with 4, possibly 5 signings, I think, by the end. So I think it's right on the money, that. And I think that's about right, because you can't change everything in one transfer window as much as we would like to. Kip says 2 weeks with the group is just what Eddie needs. It's been non-stop since he walked in. As I say, though, Kip, unfortunately, they've got to go to Saudi Arabia now. Hopefully they'll obviously, amongst all the PR stuff they'll have to do while they're out there will be lots of time for training and team sessions and all that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed, it could be a successful trip. I just think Eddie Howe would probably prefer to not have to travel to do it. But, we'll see. We will see. And Mark says, all the English lads played out of their skin yesterday. Can Gareth Southgate sit in the crowd every week? I didn't realise Southgate was there, actually, Mark. So I followed the game as best as I could yesterday, and then I kind of watched the highlights. So I've not seen the full 90 minutes. I've only seen selected bits of the match. So, but I hadn't realised Southgate was there. But maybe that was a reason why Willock improved his second half performance. Maybe he wasn't aware in the first half that Southgate was there. Maybe, I don't know. Neil says Rafa proves he has no moral compass and will go anywhere where there's a good payday. £12 million to go to China, going to Liverpool's local rivals. Will people still eulogise over Rafa if he went to Sunderland? Yeah, good question. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I'm just grateful for what he did when he was with us, and in a sense, it doesn't matter to me where they go after that. I wasn't particularly in the camp of wanting Benitez back, I'll be honest. So I wasn't one of those ones clamouring for him to come back, but I was appreciative of the job he was doing and the direction he had us heading in, which I think he was literally on the cusp of actually getting a lot more out of the squad than we saw. And then there's a lot of false comparisons to Steve Bruce, because in my opinion, what I think, if Rafa had stayed for, say, one more year, the performance he would have got out of the squad compared to what Steve Bruce managed to get would have been better, because we were trending upwards with Rafa, whereas basically Bruce levelled us off and then we dipped. So it's very easy to say, oh, well, Bruce did as much as Rafa, but I just personally, I think it's not completely true, because the context of it was Rafa signed Almiron and we were starting to be a bit more expansive in the way we played, and we were starting to look more interesting to watch. And then Rafa obviously left, and we ended up with Bruce, and it was obviously very rubbish. And I'm not saying the football under Rafa was always exciting, because it wasn't. It was quite dull a lot of the time. But anyway, what I would say is, even if he went to manage Sunderland, I would still be happy for the job he did here, and I'm sure Liverpool fans are still grateful for the job he did for them. So Gordon said, conceded late equalisers against Norwich, Man United and Watford. Very frustrating, which is why we're all on edge until the final whistle went yesterday. And the other thing is, we just cannot seem to get 2 goals up in a match. We've not done that all season. We've never been more than 1 goal ahead at any point of any match this season. And that is massively concerning, because it just heaps pressure on you. It just makes you on edge. Yeah, it makes you on edge. As you say, like, it's no good for the fans, it's no good for the players. And if you've only got a 1-goal lead, as we've seen so many times in the Premier League, it doesn't matter how much you dominate a match. If you've got a 1-goal lead, it is always at risk. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. We just look at the Leicester game the other day. When was it Spurs scored 2 goals in like the 95th and 97th minute? Look at us against Everton a couple of seasons ago, when we were 2-0 down in injury time and then we drew. And they were, that was a 2-goal lead. But you get my point. Like, a 1-goal lead in the Premier League is a dangerous place to be in, and we have to find a way of scoring more goals. Like, I really thought when Eddie Howe came in that we would score more goals. And whilst I think Eddie Howe has improved the way we play, like, we create more chances and all that kind of stuff, we don't score any. We're not scoring more goals, really. Obviously, the Brentford game, we scored 3, but apart from that, it's been 1 goal, maybe 2 goals in a game, and that's massively concerning when your defense isn't great, because if you concede goals, you basically need to score 2 goals just to give yourself a chance of winning games in most cases. Now, we've managed to beat Burnley and Leeds by 1-0, but yeah, we've dropped points against Man United, against Norwich, just because we've not been able to get into a bigger lead. Morgul says, even being fit for the start of the season would have helped seeing some games out. Yeah, the fitness thing. I mean, thankfully, the players are a lot fitter now, and we can sort of hang in games right till the end. So that's a really positive thing that's come out of the new coaching staff. But yeah, it's yeah, we've really left a lot. We have left a lot of points on the field this season. That it might cost us in the end. It still might cost us. Joe says my granddad got to watch us win the FA Cup and Intercity's Fairs Cup. My dad got to watch the entertainers, and I watched 2 relegations. Life's not fair. But the thing is, Joe, I mean, I'm getting on. I've not seen us win anything, and yes, I saw the entertainers, amazing time. The Bobby Robson era, amazing time. Overall, there's been more bad seasons now than good seasons during my support for Newcastle. But we are on the cusp of something special now, I think. So even this season will end at some point, and we might survive relegation, we might not. But either way, whatever way this season ends for Newcastle United, the rebuild will happen in the summer, and we've got so much to look forward to. We just have to get through this season one way or another. And we all want to survive. We all want to be in the Premier League next season. But ultimately, we have to realise that come May, come June, this team, this squad, this club will be overturned massively. It will be completely different come August, regardless of what league we're in. But Joe says, to be fair, those must not lose games. We haven't lost, so there are some positive. That is a really, really good point, because as much as I would go on about we do need to start winning games, like draws aren't going to save us now. We need to win games. It's much better not to lose a game than, like, if you're not going to win a game, don't lose it. It's that old saying, isn't it? Mark says Villa have made some good signings. Coutinho in particular could be a game changer for them. I agree with that, and I think that's why Villa will be a tough opponent, because I think they are turning the corner and do look better. I don't think they're probably not going to get dragged into any kind of relegation trouble, but you never know. Tony says West Ham need some new signings. We've slipped in form, but I'm pleased to see Newcastle get a win. Hopefully it's the start of a run. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think West Ham's level in the first half of the season was very impressive, and it set you up nicely. I think, obviously, the levels maybe dipped a little bit, and obviously some results have not gone your way more recently, and that's just seen you drop slightly. I think, are you 5th in the league at the moment? I think, but you're still in and about that top 4. There's a chance that you could get there. I would much rather see West Ham grab 4th than Arsenal or Man United. So good luck to you guys as well. I've personally never minded West Ham out of all the London clubs. Never had any issue with them. So good luck to you. George says, I think Shelvey isn't as bad as you're suggesting there. I'm not saying Shelvey's bad, but I just think when you compare him to a lot of other teams, he shouldn't be a regular that you're relying on, right? So yes, Shelvey can do some good stuff. He has talent, but I just think if you're relying on Shelvey, that's not a great place to be in. Morgan reckons Everton might stick with Big Dunk. Can they afford a new manager? Well, I mean, they've spent so much money there, Everton. This is what gets me about Everton. Like, a lot of Everton fans said, well, you might be the richest club in the world now, Newcastle, but we've spent loads of money, and look at us. And they're fighting relegation as well. So I guess there's a little bit of a warning there in a sense, but I don't know what is going on at Everton. It just seems like they're recruiting badly, and it's like they can't select the right manager. So yeah, maybe they will stick with Duncan Ferguson. He did all right for them the last time he was caretaker manager. I think he had 2 or 3 games last time and didn't lose them. So I don't know. It'd be quite interesting actually if Duncan Ferguson's in the managerial seat when he comes to Newcastle in a couple of weeks. I think he'll probably get a good reception. I loved Duncan Ferguson when he played for us. Neil says he thinks it's a great idea. Team bonding, meet the new owners, new signings, etc. Yeah, okay. So this is the trip to Saudi. So yes, in that respect, it's time together, and if it's well organised and planned, yes, fine. I just think it's the issue of travel mid-season. Should that really be a priority right now? I don't know. Jim says, I think a great team trip to Saudi with amazing facilities, and I believe there will be some new reveals, signing sponsors, etc. That's interesting. That could well happen, couldn't it? Yeah, we've not heard anything on the sponsorship front, have we? Really, which is kind of surprising. So we will see what happens with that. Obviously, next season we will surely have new sponsors on our shirts, so we will see what happens. Dele Alli's left out of the Spurs squad. Rumours are rife he's joining. Yeah, I'm hearing that. I mean, I don't know about Dele Alli. I think, does he improve us? Yes, he does improve us. Is there an issue with? Do I have concerns about Dele Alli? Yes, he hasn't played loads of football for a start. Does he have? Is his attitude not great? I don't know. I mean, has he been? Mourinho sort of dropped him, and he's never found favour since, has he? But I don't know. I got the impression Mourinho kind of picked on him. Mark seems to think Dele Alli isn't the signing we need. His attitude's not suited to the position we're in. Don't think he's much better than Longstaff, who started off well but didn't fulfil his potential. This is my big question mark about Dele Alli: is how good is he? I think he is better than Longstaff personally, but I always thought he was overrated when he was at Spurs. So the reason I think Mourinho dropped him was because he probably just thought he wasn't good enough. But I think Mourinho used him as a bit of a scapegoat to kind of show how he was the boss, and Dele Alli was kind of the one who copped it. And basically, Mourinho just saying he wasn't training well enough. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe he wasn't training well enough, but yeah, I don't know. Mark also thinks he doesn't think it's a bad thing for them to get some sun and team building. We know the team will be going regular, and I think it's part of the agreement. Yeah, I'm not saying going to Saudi Arabia is always going to be a bad thing. I just think at this moment in time, when we're battling relegation, I don't know, maybe it is what we need. Maybe it is a change of scenery, warm weather, team building, team morale. Maybe it will work out really well. Let's hope they come back and are feeling fresher and better. Andrew says we've got to follow it up now. We've got to follow the win against Leeds up and beat Everton. Every game needs to be treated like a cup final and be fought hard for. I agree. I think we have to beat Everton. Like, it's massive, isn't it? Because again, it comes down to the swing of points, right? If we beat them, and it is a big if, because we haven't had back-to-back wins yet this season. So if we do beat them, we'll be doing something we haven't done yet. But if we do beat them, look, we'll be within 1 point of them. I mean, that is a huge, huge incentive to beat a team, isn't it? Yes, they'll have a game in hand on us, but games in hands don't always equal points on the board. And imagine the psychological lift we could get from being 1 point behind Everton come full time on that evening on the 8th of February. That would be such a big thing. At home, full house at St James's Park. But it all comes down to, can the players execute the plan? Can they defend well enough? Will we have the players in midfield who can control a game and help the defence out? For me, that is where our problems are, I think. We don't defend particularly well as a unit, and there's too many individual mistakes in defence. We know that. We know that ultimately a lot of the defenders aren't good enough, but it's a team game. It's a team game, and we have to do better. Morgul says Ali is better than what we have, and moving out of London in a World Cup year could be the catalyst he needs to resurrect his career. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad point. Would the motivation of potentially showing that he can still be featured in the England squad be something that would motivate him? You would hope it would. We'll see. We'll see who we get. I mean, I think you've got to say that. I do think you've got to say Ali would be better than what we have, in my opinion. So on that basis, even if it's short term, you probably go for him. Mark saying he preferred Lingard. I mean, yeah, I think Lingard's a better player. They're different players though, as well. So, could we get both? That would be quite good. Morgul saying that, let's have both of them, because ultimately they'd probably complement each other fairly well. I know Ali is more attack minded, but I don't know. Could Ali do the job of kind of sitting back a bit more? I don't know. Dunk beat Chelsea as interim. Yeah, I thought he did. I thought he had a good run. Joe thinks Trippier must be the best right back we've had since Warren Barton. I'm trying to think what other right backs we've had. Who else have we had? Who else have we had? What other right backs have we had since Warren Barton? We've had loads of them. I can't think of any of them. Anyway, Tony, so the West Ham supporter here. Fourth is still possible for West Ham. Arsenal drawing and Spurs losing helps, considering the games in hand they have, similar to Newcastle. So it's down to both teams to get results. Yeah, it's all in your hands. You know, you get your results, you'll get fourth. And, you know, it'd be, like I said, it's always good to see a team break up that kind of monotony of those teams at the top, especially when it's Man United. It's quite funny. So, Gary says, I think the break to Saudi is a great idea. Lads on holiday vibe. Warm weather, unlike the freezing temperatures at home. The training facilities are amazing, and I've heard they will unveil a new marquee signing. Interesting. So, okay. I mean, like I said, there's positives to have. My initial reaction is just, I'm not sure it's the right time to do that, but it might be a great thing for morale. And I don't think we're short of team morale, though. That's the thing. I think as a squad, I think we seem pretty. The morale's pretty decent, but yeah, okay, going away, having a nice trip, being treated very specially, I suppose, when they're over there. It might be good. George says I'd take Dele Alli if we don't get Lingard. Dele could be like Willock last season. Yeah, there's players out there. You want players who are hungry to prove a point. You want them to come in and, you know, prove something. And yeah, Dele Alli, I guess, does. Lingard 100% does. Look what he did for West Ham last season. So if, you know, even if he did 50% of what he did for West Ham last season, we'd benefit massively. I think Lingard would be a quality signing. Joe says first full season watching Newcastle was 10-11, sorry. And Trippier, the best defender I've witnessed, 100%. Yeah. So 10-11 was the year before we finished fifth, wasn't it? So that was that the first season back in the Premier League after coming up from the Championship, I think. Was that the season we stuffed the Mackhams on 5-1? Was that season? I think it might have been. Frank says the Saudi visit's just a marketing thing. Clubs with owners from the USA do pre-season friendly tours. And it is the same thing as that. It is exactly that. The problem I have is the timing of it. Like, it's right in the middle of a season. It's not like, yes, it's a 2-week break, but it's not like, for me, it's just, I don't know. How long are they going for? Like, are they going for a week and then coming back? And are they going to have they'll have a bit of time at home to get, I don't know, accustomed to being back at home. Liam says it will come down to that game at Turf Moor. I hope not. I really hope not. I really hope it doesn't come down to that. I really hope that we're sorted by then. But you might be right, Liam. Liam would also take Dele Alli. Mark says, surprised we've let Christian Eriksen go to Brentford. If his heart proves not to be an issue, he would be an unreal signing. That is very, very true. I hadn't actually picked up on that, to be honest with you, Mark. So that's an amazing signing for them, to be fair. Yeah, wow. Fair play to them. Stephen Carr was a right back. Yeah, he was a right back. Debussy, yeah, I quite like Debussy actually. Evening, Connor. Debussy, yeah, other Debussy. I mean, Trippier has clearly showing that he's a quality player. So I think we've got a good sign in there, which is very good. Musical Magpie says if we had a vocal captain to motivate the team on the pitch, we would have more points on the board. I mentioned this a week or two ago about who are the leaders on the pitch in our team. Like, who is out there organising, yelling, motivating? Who is it? We don't have that. We're short of that, and I think that is a big issue. And I agree with you, Musical Magpies, that is something that we need. And I know that we've got, you could say someone like Richie, but ultimately Richie's not someone who you actually want on the pitch all the time. So we need players who can lead by example. So we'll see. Mark says Trippier's talent stands out like a sore thumb, and this is it. Like, you realise the level of the players we've been watching when you compare it to someone who is genuinely quality that comes in. It just shows you how short we are. If we can somehow just survive this season, we will be absolutely amazed. It'll be amazing. It'll just be so good if we can survive. Connor says, wouldn't be surprised if the Prince wanted a game. 27,000 guaranteed at the match with the Prince. What the Prince wants, the Prince gets. Yeah, absolutely. But the team haven't got a choice. It's clear that they haven't got a choice. I just think it's not ideal, personally. That's all. But Yeah, so Liam said thoughts on people not being happy about us going to Saudi Arabia. Look, my view on this is I've seen headlines and I think there was an article in the Athletic which was basically saying, "Oh, this is just sports washing," and the whole sports washing term coming up again. It is what it is at the end of the day. I think, like someone said in the comments below, teams owned by Americans go play in America. It's nothing new here. I get the issues around human rights, and it's not something as a fan base personally that I think we should bury our head in the sands to. I think we should absolutely be raising that issue and being aware of it, and actually using the platform that we have to kind of raise awareness and hopefully implement change. I've got a work colleague who supports Manchester City, and he said they had a lot of this when they were taken over by Abu Dhabi. But actually, what's happened is, and he says, look, things are clearly not perfect in that country still, in terms of laws against minority people and gay people and things like that. But what he said is a lot of things have been put in place, and Manchester City have been a force for good in changing the way things are in that country, even though things are obviously there's still a long way to go. So I think it's an opportunity really to have a positive impact on a country that is not how we would want to live our lives. Basically, I think is a fair point. So I don't know. Look, it is ultimately the whole issue of Saudi Arabia and Britain is something that is way beyond football fans. And if our government are making deals with them, there's why are we the ones who are getting it in the neck about our football club being bought by them and going over there? It's we're going to have to put up with it, I guess. But there's nothing we can do other than try and say, yeah, like, we're aware of this, and I guess try and push for some kind of good things to come from it in a sense. So, but it's not going to go away, and we'll always have fans and journalists of saying that it's blood money and all that kind of stuff. And but again, we didn't choose who bought our club, and it is what it is. Liam saying the World Cup is in Qatar and people hardly mention human rights. Yeah, I mean, look, people were calling for boycotts of Qatar. There's been so many reports over the years. I've watched documentaries about working conditions for the stadium builders and the amount of deaths that were happening and all these things. And ultimately, look, the juggernaut of football is it's nothing that football fans can stop. It isn't, because money talks at the end of the day, and that is what's happening here. Mark says, is anyone not enjoying the transfer windows? We'll be happy on 1st of February when it's done and the speculation stops. Yeah, totally. I think I'll be honest with you. I've not really been following a lot of the stories about who we're linked with and stuff, and that's kind of why I've not put a lot of content out over the last few weeks, because I think I could sit and make a video about 100 players that we've been linked with, but ultimately we've signed 2. So it's like the old thing. Until they're signed, until they're stood on St James's Park holding the shirt, then I'll believe it. It's just that I could make loads of content about and videos about a million players, but ultimately we can't buy all of them, and we haven't bought all of them. And yeah, I personally, Mark, I hate the transfer window anyway. I think it's unnecessary. I think we shouldn't have it. Personally, I know people think it's been developed into like it's been turned into entertainment, hasn't it? It's been used as, oh, this is an exciting period of time, and we can televise it and we can make it a big thing, and Sky can have their fancy graphics and countdown timers, and oh, isn't this amazing? There's like deadline, and it's, oh, will they get them signed on to all this stuff? And it's like, for me, it's just, I don't find that particularly interesting. Each to their own. I'm sure people will happily sit and watch, transfer deadline day and all that kind of stuff. But for me, maybe it's just because as a Newcastle supporter, it's been crap for many years. But the whole concept of the transfer window for me is just it's pointless. It's silly, and I think the way it used to be when there used to be just be like a cut-off date, in March or whenever it was, and then you couldn't sign anyone until the end of the season. That worked fine, and I don't see why we can't just do that now. But all it's done is it's played into the hands of agents, it's played into the hands of players, forcing clubs' hands and getting more money, and I think there's massive issues with the transfer window, in my opinion. But of course, we've now got a generation of people who've only grown up with it, who only know that. So, it is what it is. Morgul, on the other hand, says he's enjoying all the transfer links. We've been starved of it for so long, and I get that. I get that actually being linked with people that you can realistically expect to buy is exciting. But for me, it's just show me them when they're signed, and then I'll be happy. All the speculation and all that kind of stuff, I'm not honestly not that bothered. On a more important note, will the number 9 be renamed by Shearers by the Everton game? Be renamed to Shearers by the Everton game. I don't know. Will it? Is it being confirmed that they're going to change it back? I'm going to just quickly Google that because I feel like I've not heard that yet. Let me have a look. Maybe not. I can't see anything on that. I don't know. Has there been some news about that? I've not seen any news on that, but I'm sure it will get changed to Shearers bar. But I don't know if it'll be by the Everton game. Frank says, I find it hypocritical the way they're going about Newcastle owners being from Saudi Arabia. Clubs owned by Chinese owners, you could start banging about deplorable animal rights, child slave labour, etc. Yes, and look, there's issues with all those things. I guess it comes down to as well the fact that despite everything, the Saudi PIF is intrinsically linked to the Saudi Arabian government, despite there being a legal loophole in a sense to show that there's not influence. So in a sense, it is slightly different because yes, Chinese owners might own a club, but it depends on who those people are that own the club in a sense. But you would have to be naive to think that, like Abramovich, for example, doesn't have links with Russian government, or like some of these Chinese owners have links to the Chinese government, that sort of thing. Like it's almost like people are willing to ignore that unless it's such a clear link, like we have got now with our owners. I don't know, like even Liam saying, look, Wolves owners are part of the Chinese government. I didn't know that, but exactly, like, and that's not all right, is it? If Saudi Arabia is not all right, then that shouldn't be all right. But money talks at the end of the day. So anyway, Morgul says it is confirmed, but I think for the close season, it's in the same report they stated when work begins on training ground sheet. Oh, okay, right. So all right. So there's lots of news about all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So they're going to do lots of things, and that's great. Like all that stuff is fantastic and much needed and anticipated, and we want it. But I don't know. We just it's good that these positive things are happening. I'm really pleased with that. Right, listen. Before I go any further, I just thought normally when my dad's here, I get him to guess these. But hopefully he'll be back later in the week. I did a thing. So last time out on my last live stream, we did a thing where I put the FA Cup team from 1999 up, and I had 3 players missing, and you had to guess who they were. So I'm going to do that again today, but this time it's from the team that started the season for Newcastle United, the first starting 11 this season. So who are the 3 players missing from... Oh. Do you know what? I don't know. Maybe you didn't see it. Let me put that up. I clicked the wrong slide. Hopefully you didn't see all the names, that the answers there. But who are the 3 missing players? Never mind. Whilst you're having a look, I can't believe I pressed the wrong slide with the answers on. I was trying to check which one it was as well. Liam says, if PIF bought Man United, I think people will be all right with it. They might be, but there would definitely be people who weren't. I think, to be fair, I think there would definitely there would definitely be people who weren't all right with it. Lots of people. Oh God, I've messed that up. Okay, people saw them. Never mind. Still some people getting some of them wrong. Liam saw Woodman and Hayden. I picked the keeper because I thought it would trick a few people. But yeah, Woodman was the keeper. Lascelles is not one of them. Lascelles is not one of them, Joe. Lascelles is not one of them. Yeah. So there is. Yeah, it's amazing the amount of people getting the correct answer tonight. Yeah, I think we've got them all between you. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, Kraft is the other one. Let's put the actual answer up again. So Woodman was the starting keeper this season. So we've actually played 3 goalkeepers this season, and yeah, Kraft and Hayden, who Hayden's not played much at all this season, but it is what it is. Can't believe I messed that up. Never mind. Well done, everybody. Well done for your very good guesses. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the thing. Yeah, moving swiftly on, as Mark says. What's your thoughts on the lawsuit from Mike Ashley? Yeah, I saw this. So Mike Ashley suing Amanda Staveley for £10 million because basically he is claiming that part of the deal was that she wouldn't badmouth him in any of the interviews that she gave when she became the owner. And I guess it's open to interpretation whether she's actually done that. He's obviously taken offence to something, but she made reference to the previous regime, but I don't think she came out and said anything particularly bad. So I think it'll be an interesting court battle if it comes to that. I don't know, like it just seems a bit petty, but it sort of doesn't surprise me from Mike Ashley. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about it? What do you think of this Mike Ashley going after Amanda Staveley? It's kind of predictable, actually. I think it's just completely, yeah, just as Connor says, it's vintage Ashley. Just seeing the story didn't surprise me at all, and it'll probably get him nowhere. I don't think he'll win, but it's just pathetic. But he's obviously very thin-skinned about if he can't even cope with people mentioning the reality of the situation of what he left the club, and it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because I've always thought that we would find out eventually just how bad things have been under Ashley. Like I always feel like we'd get like reports and leaks coming out of the club just about how crazily bad it was under Ashley, where how thin it was in terms of personnel and how amateurish it was being run, and maybe that will still happen, maybe that will still come in time, but yeah, he obviously realizes that to put that clause in a contract shows just that even he has the opinion that he knows he didn't do a good job. She called the Sports Direct signs hideous, didn't she? So she referenced them. I can't remember the exact words she said, Connor, but I mean they are hideous. But yes, it's just pathetic. I mean, he's obviously, the thing with Ashley is he's always been thin-skinned. He's never liked it when the fans have stood up to him, and that's where a lot of the problems came, I think, because he can't cope with being criticised, and he clearly lives in a world in his business life where no one questions him, but football fans aren't like that, and he never liked that about Newcastle fans. He never liked it that we would criticise him, and he just can't take it. He just could never take it. And actually, I actually think a lot of the things he did were spiteful towards the fans in a sense at Newcastle, because he's just some of the things he did over the years were just. It was like a petulant child, and so it doesn't surprise me. But hopefully Amanda will win. Mark says apparently there's been 8 occasions, but Amanda is confident she will win. I'm sure she will. I'm hoping she knows the limits of what she could and couldn't say. And yeah, this is a good point, Neil. More free advertising at Newcastle's expense. Yeah, so maybe even if he doesn't win the £10 million, it'll be more advertising for his tap company. Why doesn't he try suing us fans? We've called him much worse for 14 years. Exactly, Morgul. That's what I'm saying, right? But he could never take it, could he? He could never take that. Do you think Mike Ashley will return to football club ownership again as the next owner of Derby County? Looks likely, Keith. I think there's a good chance that might happen. I know there's other parties interested in Derby. What I would say is I really hope Derby are bought and are saved. I really don't want to see any club go out of business. But one like Derby in particular, who have such a strong history, it'd be tragic to see a club of that stature go out of business. Again, because they've had terrible owners. Ashley, if he does come back to football ownership, it'll be a very different way to what he did with Newcastle. He wouldn't be with another club for half as long as he was with us. He'll want to save a club, invest just enough money to make them attractive to buy, and then he'll flip it for a profit. That is what he'll do. So what he'll try and do with Derby is buy them for nothing, essentially, put a little bit of money into the club to make sure they either get back into the Championship if they are relegated, or just improve in the Championship a bit, and then sell for obviously a lot more money than he's put in. Mark says the size of his ego knows no bounds. He can't run a club like ours into the ground and expect no one to mention it. Exactly. And actually, to be honest, it still annoys me the silence and the media sort of enabling Mike Ashley to do what he did for so long. He was never questioned enough. He was never asked the hard questions enough, and he got away with it because it was not in the interests of the top clubs for Newcastle to be any better than we were. It was a good thing for a lot of them. Margaret Drowner absolutely shows he's hiding some very nasty truth, and this is what I'm saying. I think we will find out in time. It might take a couple of years or whatever, but we will find out just what was happening behind the scenes at Newcastle. Connor says the first rumour that came out was that the signs were taken down too early. I did wonder that, because obviously there was some kind of agreement, wasn't there, to have the signs up in place for a short period of time, which was an undisclosed amount of time. But then, it was 2 months pretty much to the day, wasn't it? So I did wonder that. Signs should have been ripped down instantly by fans. He couldn't do a thing then. Yeah, well, he probably make them put them back up. Connor reckons he 100% took it out on the fans. I totally agree. I genuinely believe that he was petty, and some of the things he did were to spite the fans. I really, really, really believe that. Mark says it would be worth us fans chipping in a tenner to pay it off and get to the truth. Yeah, I'll just let the Saudis do that. It might even be that they've decided to do that. I mean, clearly the club was. Just look at how we're performing. Like the problems are so massively deep, at the club, and we're dealing with it now. We're still dealing with it now. So Frank says there's 3 bidders waiting to get Derby, and are waiting for the Middlesbrough and Wickham claim to die. Yes, because of course Middlesbrough and Wickham are caught up in it because of, I think it's transfer fees, isn't it? And obviously. How much they'll actually receive of those transfer fees, which is quite a significant amount of money, I believe. Once the administrators are done clearing away the debt, probably drop a division, then take the club debt free. Yeah, so it'll be similar to what happened to the Mackhams, but I guess the warning there is there's no guarantee that you come back straight away. So in a sense, if Ashley did successfully purchase Derby, there's no guarantee that they would come straight back up from that division. And Keith says, if Mike Ashley had been in charge of Tottenham or another one of the big 6 clubs, journalists and pundits would have had a different view on him. I agree. I think, Spurs are always been favoured by the media. They seem to love Spurs for some reason. And yeah, it would be highlighted more. Or yeah, Man United. Look, I mean, they, even the Glazers and stuff. I know there's issues with their ownership. I'm not saying there isn't, but that's an ownership who still spend a lot of money. Yes, they've laid like massive amounts of debt in that club. It's ridiculous, but like there's still stuff said in the media about that. Whereas with Ashley, it was just there was hardly anything. It was like some local journalists would give us a voice, but very, very little nationally. I mean, I think Henry Winter was probably one of the most vocal ones in the Times. So he always had Newcastle fans and Newcastle United, the club's back. But apart from that, there was nothing. We relied on like Shearer to mention stuff on Match of the Day and that sort of thing. It was just outrageous. Anyway, right. Before I go, who has got a prediction? Does anyone want to make an early prediction for the Everton game? Who's confident that we can beat them? Obviously, we don't know who's fit, who isn't fit, or anything like that. But or maybe just let me know if you're confident that we can actually get back-to-back wins for the first time this season, and let me know in the comments below. But I don't know. I'm not going to predict us to win because I think until we can prove that we can win back-to-back games, then that's when I believe it. I think we might get a draw. And yeah, Mark's leaving left a good message here. So as some of you know, I do like obviously the NFL playoffs going on at the moment. The next game it starts in about half an hour actually. So who's my pick for the Super Bowl this year? Well, my pick, believe it or not, was the Green Bay Packers and the Tennessee Titans, but both of them got knocked out last night, which is why you've got to love the NFL playoffs because it's brilliant and this season's wide open. Who I'd love to see? I'd love to see the Bills win. I'd love to see the Bills win the Super Bowl now, and I'm rooting for them now. From the NFC side, it's tricky because I like Seattle. So a 49ers Rams divisional game would not be a good situation for a Seattle fan, but I do love the sport more than rivalries in a sense. So part of me doesn't want to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get back to it. So on the NFC side, I'm kind of struggling a bit. But if the Bengals or the Bills get to the Super Bowl, I'll be rooting for either one of those two teams. But I hope it is. I hope it's the Bills. I really hope the Bills beat the Chiefs tonight. So who are you picking, Mark? Who's anyone else picking if anyone else is into the NFL? As you write them, I'll go through the list. So Connor reckons we're going to win 2-0. Frank reckons 1-1. I agree, Frank. I think we might get a draw. Kip reckons we'll win 2-1. So does Neil, Joe, and Wood. Mark makes a good point. We could have a new team by then, so who knows? It's true. We don't know who. We might have new players. Yeah, well, hopefully we will have some new players. So yeah, you're right. It's hard to predict anything. Morgul's confident we can win. Score depends on who we can bring in before the window shuts. Fair point. Jim, Alan Sack-Maximin, and Willock. Interesting shout for Willock there. Mark, just going back to the NFL thing. See Brady get another ring, but I'm rooting for the Bills too. Yeah, I'd love to see the Bills do it. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the Bills. I don't know why, but it's been good to see them over the last 2 or 3 years get better and that sort of thing. So, Mazir wants Tampa Bay and Tom Brady to do it again. To be fair, I think it wouldn't surprise. To be honest, I actually think the Rams are going to get to the Super Bowl. I think it'll be the Rams against the Bills, but if it was the Bengals, it wouldn't surprise me as well. I don't know. It's so wide open. It's great. I can't wait to go and watch some of it tonight, actually. Novik thinks 3-1 to the Toon. That would be brilliant. Morgul reckons the Bengals. I'd be happy with that. I don't know if any of you listen to the Around the NFL podcast. Obviously, brilliant podcast about the NFL. But tragically, one of the presenters, Chris Westlin, died of cancer literally a year ago on like the day of the Super Bowl or the day before the Super Bowl. And he was a Bengals fan, although he divorced his club. A bit like I said I was going to earlier this season. And so the kind of there's a whole kind of wave of people rooting for the Bengals in his memory sort of thing. So, Bengals or Bills would be good, but I'd prefer to see the Bills. Right. Lovely bit of NFL chat at the end there. Sorry if you've got no interest in American football or the NFL. I apologise. Sorry, Alan. That's fair enough. I don't judge anyone who doesn't like it. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So I won't make a habit of talking about it on my streams, but it is coming to the crunch time of the year. Yes, I think that might be part of the reason, Mark. You see the Bills and Bengals haven't won. Well, the Bills have never. Well, neither team have ever won it, have they? The Bills got to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and lost all of them. So anyway, right. Yeah, Frank, Everton going to be lumping plenty of crosses against us. That's that. Hopefully, we'll have some new defenders by then, though. Anyway, right. Time to sign off. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back later this week. By the way, just so you know, the reason I haven't been particularly well this week, which is why I didn't do a newsletter on Friday this week. So apologies if you subscribe to my newsletter. You can subscribe in the link below. There will be one this Friday. Apologies that I didn't get one out this week. It was genuinely because I just wasn't particularly feeling very well. And that's why I didn't do a live stream at the back end of last week either, and kind of why I've done one tonight. So thank you for all your ongoing support and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, link in the description below if you fancy it. It's free and it is delivered every Friday unless I'm poorly. So thank you very much. And yeah, I will see you later on in the week. Thank you very much. See ya.